Life on Gammon, Capital CDF Projects. Capital Bari, what Capital. History of Banda, WTC Nyama's chairperson.
I'm Carol Francis Jaffetti, Ward Development Committee chairperson.
As Nawana, John William, Tenina, WTC chairperson. Zimba, Lundazi market chairperson.
What affairs about chairperson?
Umulo Zulu, governance activist.
Azaban, WTC secretary, Mrs. White.
Thomas Moore, WTC chairperson, Chimayoan.
WDC chairperson Mrs. White.
Shibayuka, WDC chairperson.
Good morning, everyone. Assistant Commissioner, Lundazi Town Council. Stand up, right? You can supervise. Alex Jane Goma, Video Inspector, Lundazi Town Council.
Lloyd Banda, Lundazi Town Council.
Ngani Mtonga, kama watu kudisha pesa. Abu Fernanda, Ansavia, Lundazi Town Council.
Mwakabwanja, Nimekeza Nimbewe, Lundazi Town Council. Popiri, Lundazi Town Council.
Good morning, everyone. building fully.
Area council must what?
Mwaka ndio kibosi. Msiteka kwa council advocate Lundazi.
So hosting the Sunday meeting, we are free to use our local language. You can either use English, you can also use the local language. So next one, the agenda is adoption of agenda. Number 4.
Before I adopted the agenda, it was prudent enough that in this agenda, it is well tabulated that Sandasika Makona, with the documentation, there is a digital and the manual. Maybe we are going to use the PowerPoint in your explanation as you just listen, or have a manual documentation so that through PowerPoint also we should follow what is happening during presentation. So I may ask if manually it is there for especially item number 6 and 7, 8, review of 2025 budget 6, 7, 8. If the manual can be presented to us so that we should follow, we should be keen interested if the presentation is being done. Now, I propose this agenda to be adopted.
Concentration. Instead of listening to what is being explained, your concentration is busy. So it's better we listen before the presentation.
It's also all of us concentrate. How do we take note of the points? If the PowerPoint presentation is there, also we should compare to what is being presented and to what we have received. Are we going just to present to our committees or just empty-handed that we receive A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D from budget presentation or submission of projects 2026 or what? So that's why I asked if manually it was there to help also the community. We are here representing the community. I think you are there within the position itself. WDC, what governance. So how are we going to present to our communities? Ziko.
I suggest that for the next presentation we'll be talking about what can be given there. But for now, we concentrate on listening what is being presented.
So that the going we have
Yes, probably later, but for now,
yeah, we can concentrate
yes.
on that.
Yes, that's what I just said.
Let the director, if hard copies are being prepared, at a later stage will be given or what? We should find out from you.
We'll get back to you. Yes, so on adoption, that's been proposed.
Yeah, the second.
So the agenda is adopted. exactly what they want to be done in the community. So nakamalati takulangira nonse ku budget ya 2026. I mean 2025 budget ya 2025 prepare budget in 2026. So ngati mama stakeholders watu is very important. Modali kwa kwamba kuna kwa authority because mlimo matinga sana kwa because of so we will already the move on and so move on and so that's the way about to conduct as an community to the whatever community here. So one thing
So thank you so much. Once more, you are all welcome. Welcome to Lundazi Council Performance Review Report for the period January to June. So the outline for the presentation is basically number 1, introduction, the number 2 of the budget performance January to June 2025. And the third one is the 2025 Capital CDF Projects, January. So we have our 2024-2025 World Bank Capital Project, which is under ZPS. Number 5, we have the Cash for Work program for the period January to June 2025. And number 6, we have the Council Staff Levels for the period January to June 2025. In number 7, we have internal audit performance for the period January to June 2025. Number 8, we have the great performance. Number 9, we have the list of retirees yet to be paid. 10, list of court cases. 11, movable asset managed by the council. That's motor vehicles, machinery and equipment. And number 12, we have the conclusion. So this is basically the introduction. That's a brief introduction about Lundazi Council, where it's located, and I like you can easily go through. I don't know if you want me to read through, or maybe we can just move on to the next slide. That is just basically the distance from Osaka to Lundazi, the location. Yeah. So introduction still continues. Then now we go straight to the budget performance. Okay. So we're going to start with the revenue part. Under revenue, we have got local taxes. So the approved budget for the local taxes was 217,095 kwacha. The collected amount as of June 2025 was 12,947.50. Giving us the balance sheet to be collected is 204,147.50, giving us a performance percentage of 6%. The reason basically for this poor performance is that the declaration law is expired and we haven't yet renewed it. And second, we go to the fees and charges. We had an approved budget of 2,531,865. Then the amount collected as of June 2025 was 789,516.27, giving us a balance of 1,742,348.73, giving us a performance percentage of 51. And reason basically for this performance is that most businesses did not operate at full capacity and others closed due to power challenges. Then secondly, thirdly, we go to licenses. We had an approved budget of 162,409,000. Then the amount collected as at June 2025 was 20,973 kwacha. The amount yet to be collected is 141,436, giving us a performance percentage of 18. The reason for such a poor performance is that the occupants license was not yet collected and other licenses to be collected during the licensing period. So basically, when you look at this performance improved during the third and fourth quarter. But the performance under review was for January to June, hence giving us such a poor performance. But you see that in the fourth quarter, the performance is going to improve. Then we go straight to the levies. The approved budget was 886,807. Then the amount collected as of June 2025 was 580,917. Balance to be collected is 455,890, giving us a performance percentage of 69, which is alright. We move on to the payments. The budgeted amount was 350,200 kwacha. The amount collected as of June 2025 was 171,953.15, and the balance to be collected was is 178,266.85, giving us a performance percentage of 49%. The balance, the comment basically for such a performance is that the balance is collected during the upcoming licensing period. Like I explained, you see, during the third and fourth quarter, the licenses and the payments, that's when you find the peak of these revenues during the third and fourth quarter. Then we move on to the charges, where the approved budget of 5,438,380. So the amount collected as at June 2025 was 117,462.16, and giving us the amount to be collected at 5,320,917.84, giving us a performance percentage of 2, which is bad. The reason for such a poor performance is that we over-budgeted on this one, and there was a low uptake on the budgeted plots. So the council afforded some plots to the public, and the performance for those plots that we had plotted to the public was poor, hence giving us such a poor performance of 2%. Then we move on to other income. The budgeted amount was 2,421,634. The amount collected as of June 2025 was 506,746.20. The amount yet to be collected is at 1,974,887.80, giving us a performance percentage of 20. The reasons still remain that we over-budgeted and the low interest earnings on the CDF account was the reason why we had such a poor performance. Then we move on to national support, which includes grants. Then the approved budget for the national support was 75,398,516. Then the amount collected as of June 2025 was 34,919,085.72. And the amount yet to be collected is 40,479,430.28, giving us a performance percentage of 46. So, the approved budget for revenue was sitting at 87,416,906,000. And the amount collected as of June 2025 was at 87,119,581. The amount yet to be collected for the period under review was at 50,297,325, giving us a performance percentage of 42. That's on the revenue. Any questions? Mafumbo.
Mafumbo yali. Where because that's why we were asking for money because we don't understand. Some of the points have already gone out, especially what made you have those challenges for revenue collection. Because we need to understand, you have said the performance was poor. What made it reach like what you said about the collection of ground rents, or what was the variation road done? Or what made the variation road to fall down? It's going to continue. So those are the challenges you need to outline so that we find a way forward for it. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that, for those questions. The evaluation law, we had the evaluation law in place, and the evaluation law expired, and there's a process that needs to be undertaken for a new evaluation law to be enacted. So basically that process is still ongoing. So I think maybe someone from planning would help us. Town planning. Do you have any question over the evaluation law? Do you have any comments? Okay. So, and on the issue of...
Please clarify aspect.
Just a minute, sir.
What?
Just a minute. I'm still explaining something. So, the second one is that if you have got a question whilst I'm still presenting, kindly take notes. You can write on that piece of paper, so that when I'm done presenting, you can ask those questions. So that at least you're moving in the same page.
On number 6, item number 6, where the big charges, you made budgets for 5,438,000, and yet you collected 107, which represented a 2% collection. I want to find out, you said this because maybe you did there was a low uptake on budgeted costs. In other words, I want to clarify, is it because people didn't buy the plots? What would be the reason? Were they too expensive or they were not properly advertised? I want to find out why such a discrepancy.
Well, thank you so much. Those are very interesting questions. Okay. So there are two answers there. If you have seen on the comments, there's an issue of over budgeting and the issue of low uptake on the budgeted plots. So during budgeting, as a council, we're usually given some ceilings to say this is the amount of money that you're supposed to budget within. Yes. So you find that the revenue part and the expenditure have to turn. So for us to balance the budget, we had to over budget on the fees and charges, so that the budget could balance. But like I said, if you saw the comments here, we acknowledge that we did over budget on that. We did over budget on the same. So, and hence giving us such a poor performance. And on the aspect of plots, indeed plots were floated to the public. I think the response from the public wasn't overwhelming. We received a poor response from the public, hence giving us such a poor performance. Yes. Another? Any questions? Yes.
Me was the suggestion. I thought maybe we can go through, then later on is when you have a question, because we'll be yesterday.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we will move in that same direction. So we move on to the expenditure part. So under expenditure, we had CDF. The approved budget for CDF was 36,058,151 kwacha. Expenditure as of June 2025 was at 13,922,129. So the balance yet to be collected from the government was sitting at 22,136,022 kwacha, giving us a performance percentage of 39. The comment basically there is delayed approvals. Then we move on to local governance. The approved budget was 1,418,130. Expenditure as of June 2025 was at 400,000 405. Balance yet to be expended was at 1,013,725, giving us a performance percentage at 29. So the comment basically is expenditure in line with available resources. So on local governance, expenditure is dependence on the availability of finances from the local authority. Then we move on to the third one, integrated development plan, where there are an approved expenditure of 2,117,708. So the expenditure as at 30th June 2025 was sitting at 236,485. Balance yet to be expended was sitting at 1,881,698.15, giving us a percentage performance of 11. Comment on this poor performance is that the IGP revision is still underway. Then we move on to the economic and business development. The approved budget for that expense was sitting at 3,000. Expenditure as of June 2025 was new. We didn't have any expenditure. Balance yet to be expended is at 3,000, and the percentage is new. The comment on such a zero performance is that sensitization on the business registration is scheduled for scheduled during the third and fourth quarter. Then we move on to the public and health and environmental protection. The budgeted expenditure was sitting at 1,034,793. Expenditure as of June 2025 was at 252,043.41. Balances to be expended is 782,749.59, giving us a performance percentage of 24. Comment on this, that performance is that expenditure is in line with availability of resources. Number 6, housing and community amenities. The approved expenditure was sitting at 4,887,385. Expenditure as at 30th June 2025 was at 404,794.93. Balances to be expended is at 4,492,580.07, giving us a performance percentage of 8. Reason for this performance is that 2.5 million kwacha was committed to the construction of the community hall. Number 7, we move on to recreation, culture and religion. The approved expenditure was sitting at 377,494. Expenditure as of June 2025 was at 125,829.49. Balance yet to be expended is 251,664.51, giving us a performance percentage of 33. Comment on the same is community sport activities are ongoing. We move on to education and skills development. The approved expenditure is 19,241. Expenditure as at 30th June 2025 was new. Balance yet to be expended is the same, 19,241, giving us a new performance. Then the comment is that adult literacy is scheduled to be implemented during the third quarter.
Yeah, different.
So expenditure continues. We move on to public order and safety. Public order and safety. The approved expenditure was 3,015,472. Expenditure as at June 2025 was 168,28.94. Balance to be expended is at 2,847,443.08, giving us a percentage performance of 6. Comment is that expenditure is according to availability of resources. Then we move on to number 10, management and support services. We had an approved expenditure of 13,161,452. Expenditures at June 2025 sitting at 7,080,676. Balance yet to be expended is 6,080,776, giving us a performance percentage of 54. We move on to resource mobilization and management. The approved expenditure is at 1,623,868. Expenditure as at 30th June 2025 was at 84,014.47. Balance yet to be expended is at 1,539,853.53, giving us a percentage performance of 5. The reason or comment on the same is that variation law yet to be implemented. Number 12, district health services. The approved expenditure was at 4,438,561. Expenditure as of June 2025 was sitting at 1,341,811.53. Balance yet to be expended is 3,096,749.47, giving us a percentage performance of 30. Comment on the same is that 1.8 billion kwacha is being utilized by the one hospital outside sector grant. Transport services. The approved expenditure was sitting at 3,200,585. Expenditure as of June 2025 is 600,525.56. Balance yet to be expended is 2,600,059.44, giving us a percentage performance of 19. Comment is that 1 million kwacha has been received so far, and 800,000 kwacha is committed to street lights. Number 14, agriculture services. The approved expenditure is 521,392. Expenditure as of June 2025 is 179,554.72. Balance yet to be expended is 341,887.28, giving us a performance percentage of 84. The comment on this performance is that most activities are scheduled for fourth quarter. Then we move on to fisheries and livestock. The approved expenditure was at 486,130. Expenditure as at 30th June 2025 is 216,475.60. Balance yet to be expended is 269,684.40, giving us a performance percentage of 45. And the comment is that expenditure is in line with availability of resources. Then we move on to number 16, which is social protection and community development. The approved expenditure is 15,048,519. Expenditure as at June 2025 is 12,740,311. Then balance yet to be expended is 2,303,208, giving us a performance percentage of 85. So the approved expenditure total for total was sitting at 87,416,906. In expenditures at June 2025 was at 37,615,495. Balance sheet to be expended is 49,601. 49,801,410, giving us a percentage performance of 43. That's the end of expenditure. Move on. Any questions? Okay. So we move on to 2025 CDF Capital Projects constituency for the period January to June 2025. So that's a list of the CDF projects for 2025. There's number one, the completion of 1/3 CRB to Kuzizi Primary School. The status is ongoing. Estimated completion is at 90%. Budgeted amount was 251,413.80. Amount spent was 63,264.01. Balance was 188,144.79. Expenditure percentage is 25. Comment, it's grazing remaining. So we move on to completion of National Assembly Office. The status for this is completed. Estimated completion percentage is 100%. Budgeted amount was 558,444.13. Amount spent 508,37.77. Balance 50,406.39. Expenditure percent is 91. And the comment is that the building is in use. Move on to completion of 1/3 CRB, Kambale Primary School. The status is ongoing. Estimated completion percentage is 90%. Budgeted amount is 281,634. Amount spent is 269,134. The balance is 12,500. Expenditure percentage is 96. The comment is work on. We are actually working on 5 touches. Then grading of roads status is ongoing. Estimated completion percentage 40%. Budgeted amount 3,278,13.69. Amount spent 326,730. Balance is 2,951,283.69. Expenditure percentage is 10%. The comment is that 36 kilometers is done. Road grading is in progress. We move on to construction of 1/3 CRB at Kakota Primary School. The status is that the contract was recently awarded, so hence giving us the estimated completion percentage. The budgeted amount was 1,175,476.41. Amount spent, nothing else. The balance is still the same amount. So the comment is mobilization stage. So if you look at these ones that are remaining here, the construction 1/3 CRB, the construction 1/3 CRB at Kazinda Primary School, you find that the status and the comment here is the same. For the period under review, January to June, that was the status. That's when the contracts were awarded. So there was no percentage there. Okay. So construction of 1/3 CRB at Ntakalavu Primary School, the same situation, the status description, contract was recently awarded, budgeted amount was 1,249,000, still the same balance, comment mobilization stage, contract recently awarded, Then we move on to number 10, completion of 1/3 CRB at Kamilengi Primary School. Status, contract recently awarded. Comment, evaluation stage of procurement. Construction of Chanyondo Vakaza Community Bridge. Status, contract recently awarded. Budgeted amount is 1,871,105.52. The balance is still the same amount. The comment there is mobilization stage. The contract was recently awarded. We move on to construction of Umi Zone Community Bridge. Status is still the same. Contract recently awarded. The budgeted amount is 1,322,401.04, giving us the same balances. Nothing was spent. Then the comment is mobilization stage. Contract recently awarded. Move on to construction of Mpandu Health Post. Contract recently awarded. Budgeted amount is 1,536,7.85. Balance is still amount. Comment, mobilization stage. Contract was recently awarded. Supply and delivery of days of 378 days. Budgeted amount is 567,000. So the comment on the same is that the program or the project was still ongoing. Move on to number 15, construction of 1/6 double-story at Lundazi Day Secondary School, new site. The status description is that contract recently awarded. So the comment is the evaluation stage of the procurement. Rehabilitation of Lundazi Council Chamber, contract recently awarded. Comment, evaluation stage of procurement. So the total budgeted amount for all this project was 15,822,577.26. So amount spent was 1,167,170.78. Balance to be expended is 14,655,406.48. Any question on the capital projects, the CDF capital projects?
Maybe people would want to know exactly what you mean by in most cases, when a contract is awarded, we expect people to be found on the ground working contractor. It doesn't take long. How long are we expecting this contractor to be on site?
Thank you so much, Honorable. Please take note that the period that is under review is between January and June. So we are reviewing that period, January to June.
Yeah.
So as at that time, when the budget was being reviewed, that was the status. I think by now most of the contractors are on site and everything like that. Most of the contracts. Unless maybe there is something that I've missed. Director engineering.
No one is on site.
What's the status?
Thank you very much.
Everything you said recently awarded, that was in June. And now we don't have any contract on site. What do you mean? Are we still on evaluation stages or?
For 2025 project, we have all the contractors on site. We only have, I think, 2 projects that were from 75, which one of them just came to sign the contract in the morning. All of them that were national people, the contractors have signed them down site. Sure. Yes, so we only have 2 that were done, I think, a week or 2 weeks ago. And procurement stage was done 2 weeks ago. But as we speak, we have contractors on site on all the sites.
I've never made any contract. Many of these projects.
Yes, sir.
Maybe what those words we are going to present to see if they can clear us on that. Sure.
There's nothing there.
the 1 week ago, not Sanankarisi, because I was there recently, that's what I was saying.
How recently?
Last week.
But they're there. They're there on Saturday.
Okay.
Which are the ones?
Oh, yes. I want to find out how much period are they being given according to the project which they are given. Why I'm asking so? Because us at Msozi, we have a bridge which is Chiketuka Zuza Bridge, but it has been taken too long up to now. Sometimes when we go to the site, we find that the contractor is out. I know we're waiting for building material. What is happening? Is it because they are not being funded or what? Or maybe the contractor is just too slow to finish that bridge? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. For Chiketuka Zuza, the only issue we face with Chiketuka Zuza is that we clearly stated that the core certificate, the stones they're supposed to use, we don't want to use these local stones because they don't reach to the standards. The stones are being gotten from Chipata. And if you look at Eastern Province, Sebo is supplying from, I think, the whole line from Eastern Province, from somewhere Katete up to Chamba. So when you go to Sebo today, you find there's a long list. These guys that are doing the roads are also buying materials from there. So you can pay Sebo today, but for him to give you the materials, that's what takes time. If we say, oh, okay, go ahead and use these stones, we can do that, but the quality of works, the strength of the bridge won't do it. So sometimes it might take time to deliver a project, but all we're looking at is the quality. What we want is that we get something that's going to last the test of time. That has been the challenge with that contract. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Yes. Is it a follow-up question? Maybe, sir. Let me just ask the job.
I think the question was, we want to know the time frame which are being given. Because sometimes you find that they can be given a period of a year, but it will take maybe a year and a half months. So once we know the exact time frame, we're able to follow up to say the time which we are given, it has collapsed now. Then what are you doing? So we want to know exact time frame which you have agreed between the council and the contract.
Initially, the contract period for the 2000 was 3 months.
3 months.
Yes. So within that 3 months, these are the challenges that we face. This is something that is unforeseen, because if we had all the materials available, we could have done it in 3 months. But this is something that's unforeseen. So we give it 3 months, but if we're going to say, oh, the 3 months has elapsed, we terminate, we start looking for another person. It will take us another good 2 months. Then we've lost money and time. You get another person, again the 3 months elapses, just like that. So we have a provision for extension of time in this contract due to some of these unforeseen circumstances. So in that vein, the contractor has submitted an extension of time. So these are the challenges that I'm facing. You look at those challenges, are they valid? Are they not valid? You look at them and you say, oh, these are valid. You give them an extension, you give them time. If it's not valid, you say, oh, this is not valid, we cannot give you an extension. But looking at like what I earlier explained, it's a valid reason. It's a valid reason. You look at it and say, oh, we specify that we want to use materials. We want you to use this type of material. But if that material is not available in time, what do? You give me an extension. Oh, we want you to buy these materials, but by this date, you need to get them. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Choyamba Sansera Mnyamazwat, Munipulikise, Nala Secretary. Kanangi mwache mama compound chairperson, mwache mama market yard chairperson. Again, tupulika kama figures 1,000, 10,000. Anju kutiba honorable councillor. Vasungunule kipulike mapoints kuna kutikasi 1,000, 10,000 ilipanga chivichi. Mumulomo mwa teacher isema chairperson yenama ikalibonge namo. Kwene maswani mundongomeko na mulili kipulika 10,000 kumala so ngati ni school ilisemezeka ndipo kuiona ndiye point iyo ningampasirani sikoma.
So, issue ya katika Zuza international kuti bridge hii yapeleka ofi because ila bridge ina ndio yupeleka crossing point iko Nchomeni kula kula. Pata tunika panga solo kimani then vanhu vakura sisi Nchomeni. Kwa ndio bridge ya use la Nchomeni. Sono kulingana na ndio mimi kumanela pale kwa stones ya kushipata zote very far. Hisa vakansi wetika ukazevu ushingachani contractor because contractor anapeleka pa 19 October. Pa 18 October itumaka 18 kama hilo. Makastanganya month. Ikamanzo. He was given this date as the last date. Make sure that he has done everything. So to double upon kutiba director kutiyai stones up to now are not come. So kama kura yadi contract wa kwa nshito chipata zote very far because that one has been given money na taso hiyo kwa kuandrama na taso kwenda mtu nshito pa nyengo yake exception ilipelekeka but it is too much now ya peta Chomeni. So there must be serious engagement wa council na contract to make sure that punch tingauvulika tawangu kwa para vula yao tumama yao vula lasa ikawa makora yao ikawa ndogo tumama cha chuta mmoja peleke vula chaka chini wazi tingapanga ngozi para pana. So please, management, with the director works, first foremost, then to Virane, engage that contract to all them, but to Viria, with the Brigida, it will by December, I'm very serious. Was a vision, one man I think the request was to Maranama, but management is to engage contractor in time with one Malisi. Gomez with the mobility. Umavila Sharp, so to resonate, will make ka explain the kizungu tupita ndivyo basi kwenda bangi pinyage picha explain pata wana pat conseil just explain kumbuka kuti kilenge tu grato si tende nyevishi pamoja taunga tumele kwa usaudize tangazo kada karima kora yeye usipo
Thank you so much. So we move on to 2024-2025 World Bank Capital Projects. Under this funding, we only had one, and the name of the project was construction of the conference hall at Tigoni. So the status description was that the contract was awarded, estimated completion percentage was 0, budgeted amount was 2,694,736.84. Amount spent for the period under review was nil. The balance was the same, 2,694,736.84. So expenditure percentage is 0. The comment was that the contract has been awarded and contractor is currently mobilizing. So kindly take note that the period under review is January to June. So as at that period, that was the status. Any question on the same? Yeah, direct engineering, maybe you can explain to the house the current status for the same project.
For the community work, the contractor is currently in site. They've done the substructure works, they've brought the plinth, they've done the backfilling. So they're doing the compaction, and I think the slab will be probably done by within this month. Thank you very much.
So by June, June ndipo hapa kama figures mbona mbali so kwa solo wanaelewa kuja sira sio vingi imalengo ni katika basi sio tuongelewa kwa watu baba tukakondana mani mwana ngani kama kansa ziko kutomea.
Okay, so we move on to Cash for Work program. The words, it was all the words that all the works were undertaken. So, total number of beneficiaries stood at 5,854. Amount received was 3,689,684.60. Amount spent was 3,558,740. Balance yet to be paid is 130,945. Number of beneficiaries to be paid 218. The comment on the same, what we have got 218 people who haven't yet been paid is that the number of beneficiaries yet to be paid is as a result of bounce payments. The council engaged the bank to resolve the matter. So we move on to the next funding, which was 3,889,183.28. Total number of beneficiaries was 5,834. The amount spent or paid out was 3,708,740. Balance yet to be paid is 180,443. Number of beneficiaries yet to be paid is at 300. We move on to the next funding, which was 565,531.25. Number of beneficiaries was 5,800. Amount paid out was 3,538,000. Balance yet to be paid is 27,531. Number of beneficiaries to be paid is 46. We move on to the next funding, which is 3,715,531, which gives us a total number of beneficiaries of 5,820. Amount paid out is 3,700,200. Balance yet to be paid is 15,331. Number of beneficiaries to be paid is 26. So the total number of beneficiaries paid stood at 29,288. The amount received, the total amount received for cash for work was 14,859,930.13. Amount paid out was 14,505,680. So balance yet to be paid out, the total is at 354,250. So number of beneficiaries yet to be paid is sitting at 590 in a cash for work. So any questions on cash for work? Any issues?
au vanhu vadalipirike chasuzwa chivichi kuti vanhu ava valipirike 590 but kakuti pabudget uku mukuti kana kuti balance iondera mairiko and avo vanhu vadalipirike avo nyoma bounce payment and avo vanhu valiko nasono pano but we do submit each and every time to say we have submitted these names but they are not being paid chasuzwa chivichi kuti vanhu ava valipirike score
Sikomo kwamiri by WTC chair. Mukasa submit my name is Kuli. Next to the process I made my thing. I hope you understand here. submit my names. Normally, this must submit to planning. Planning would often verify, checking indeed if one of in wakasikiza planning kufika baleta ku finance. Finance guys will also do our own verifications. Let's checking out the system if at all there is a bounce payment. The bounce payment is there for you, then the request has to be done. So that I want to be. Please bear in mind that the period you are meant to review is between January and June. January and June. So after this period that is under review, finance alongside planning will work tirelessly to ensure that these numbers, this number actually which is 580 is reduced. And up to now, I can stand here and say that there are just few people, very few people that have got issues with our payments. Very few people. That I can face. I think was it last week when the WDC came, we brought you the 4 names that bounced, and we are actually verifying from our end. And once the verification is done, we are going to be present. Any question on cash for work? More for cash for work? Yes, sir.
Is there any time limit for payments?
Is there what? Wow, we cannot really attach a time frame for a bounce payment. You mean bounce payments, right? Oh, because there are 2 things involved here. The reason why we have got 590 is because of my bounce payments. And remember, problem we have to do is now one to submit mazina but submit number maybe a name inside. Sana pakemo chilichonse mu account. So ndama tikatuma ukipeza tinogama ya pesa ti account ituma. We had such issues but we moved in and we tried to correct that situation. So basically it's a time limit. You cannot say that within 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, no. It's just a verification process that has to be done alongside the planning and finance. Once planning wakasigiza maleta to finance, the payments can be done once we verify those components. Any questions on cash for work? Instead of mafumbo ya mimo for my community, I let them to money so that mokachukapa this mtoka with a clear mind. So please ask more questions on cash for work. Yes, sir. Okay.
So, according to the explanation, did you receive all the 590 bounce names as at now?
Thank you so much. You're done? So I'll still go back to my earlier statement when I said that 590 in between January to June, period under review. So after that, we also received some other findings. And after this period, like I said, in 590, we have reduced this amount. There are just a few number of people. Like the WDC who came last week, I think he brought you the 6 names of bounce payback. We have worked on this number and it has reduced drastically. We no longer have 599. So, with every process in the year, challenges here and there. But committees again, we are improving. And some of the challenges that committees are facing is we are being worked on until we reach where we are today. We no longer have an issue of 100 people haven't received. I think most of the WDC can attest. We have such issues now. You see, 100 people haven't received in what? Yeah. But when we started, we used to have that because it was a new system that we had. It's a new system and things were being. Thank you so much. Okay? Sir, yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, hapo basegesa na account. Wena angu basegesa na account. Once wakatuma ndiramu singeni. Okay. Kulingana ngandimwe kuno ma chairperson. Sino masuka kuti aya ma account akasegula abantu. Siko. Chameni nini ngani? Ma chairperson mukwa masulira kunena kuti ma sim card la tisanenkan register bakasegura ma account manje at least ma chairperson pauza abantu wao ija namba yonse nkala yoseguliwa manje like imo tambera ati enangu sama segura account that's why drama zima broker kasi ma chairperson sino masulira kuti bakasegura ma account.
So I think my points are very good. There are says like a some of them become there's a nice experience. More kind of situations that Mundu and a voice again to accounts. Like I voiced that a few days ago, but it's an estimate deposit money account to think I active. So by the time come the payment, the representative account is dormant. So as a result, you come and spend on the account. Vile issue ya mabosi bakamili kweli ya drama za kazi ya kuongea na weka money in the account ili dormant. So that money will go back to the suspense account in our bank and you have to make it fall out. And these are issues that are extra Mbuyo. But this time around we no longer have such issues. These issues were all to and this contracted system failure of bank. The system you can give up, drama is not going to get account money. You can always go back to bank, we check from the system, we can retransact to make you the first card until we price it.
Mwachipusu kuti international kuti UDC na ose zila pazani hii wakusanirika mwili kuendela kwa kupine ba committee na hizo kuna wakansa sono wakapa ma account bali sambizika sono bantu wose sambizika kwani kusudi ndio tunashika deposit ya kanga nikaandrama kadogo mbichi mwapana kana kasisi ngama problem ngani so kwa sono gobe gabanandi basambira UDC za basambira bantu basambira sono kwa zina na account kuna kwa zina lako ngo ulikurai ndio ulipalisi not in the grade mfuni mbona nimesikia naona na manda mboya mkana ndama ya mjena because una grade mfuni so account kuna kutabea kuna zina ndani la kwa so in my demand all leaders in community tento girane kusta this sensation jamu mwanapenda njatose tento girane kuti vantu vari kusanga na masugo na kuno kukanzo kwa kusanga masugo vile I think takusikana mabora wati yeah
unelezi kwa kutinaji kuyambiro kura masugo kasangangana ndisomeni kwa example umusanga uti mundu akuiza wakana phone number paka paper leji yake kwenye phone number zakana ipa vichi paka paper so pala hiyo ndachicha unda samani makola cha walemba wamsanga kuti namba hii ndanga mnyani ile ndio mtu mnyani gala masuga katisangana itumeni masiku that's why bantu banada bakonga soma makola cha ndala kwenye solo tuwa paria kwa sambize mungu asinye leji kwenye sona sim card kwenye bakulemba pala you make sure kuti nalembanaji zina ili baleji lilipo ni ili na sim card bilongola njiri ni ili andi bantu sono basambize tukusa koi mungu aise kumiza kana bani nakuti tuona uti bila tukapangisa kuma bouncer ya bichi so far at least bantu bakogana makola chomeni kala baliko kala kwa kuchepa kwa maana kumasinya kula kayambira je unataka kumbaka chita addition ku vacancy yetu.
Thank you so much.
Wako nikaona lebo ina tumefunga ya bwana Mwanza maybe taita submit my name is finance ya room 14 then ya my name is kura ba checking then taita batuma ku finance then maybe ndine zinale ni piso ya banda taita kukizia leo ndama na mtu then mata submit ku bank then zinane kwa issue not know is in success ndama team meaning of ya bishi ndama natola but ndama account mzinani mu phone ndama zingangeni ichulengesa ni network or njivishi because ama problems sasa kana ushomene simonga pamnyamazi wati stop
Como kwambiri wabiso system hii yose imakaba na challenges technology na yewe inakoma mapezi kwa challenges na yewe it can be that quite alright like you explained that your language that success na in drama but when you check the actual system drama is in game I don't know na mnaisa kumaka sometimes when you ATM na ATM card waenda matosa watinika drama za chosa space drama but drama zinachoka ni mama kama within 48 hours drama zifika kule na hivyo kama zile system imaka na challenges so those are some of the challenges that we have seen. That's why as finance we take it upon ourselves to mind that the bank when we start verifying if indeed such a transaction in Africa or Singapore. How can we proceed.
Thank you, Nazifo.
So we move on to council staff levels. Under council staff levels, we have got institution management. Number of employees as at January 2025, 6. Number of employees transferred in, there was nothing. Numbers of employees transferred out or resigned under institutional management, there was nothing. Number of employees as at 30th June 2025, 10. So number of employees who went on vacation or leave, there was nothing under institutional management. Number of staff facing disciplinary charges, nothing. Comment for new employees were brought during the quarter under review. So we have got human resource with number of employees at 55, finance at 22, engineering at 42, planning at 34. So total number of employees as at June 2025 is 167. Number of employees who went on vacation leave, the total was 7. Number of staff facing disciplinary charges was at 2. Any question on council staff levels? Maweka zomebaseza pa council. Under institutional management, 26. Under human resource, 52. For finance, in our 22. For engineering, in our 42. For planning, in our 34. So once in our zomebaseza pa council, 167. We proceed. So, internal audit performance between January and June 2025. So, there were just a number of queries that were raised by internal audit. So one of them is that non-preparation of daily work registers, that's Form 1, a physical inspection of the cash for work program and interviews carried out in the wards reviewed that supervision, which is the WDCs, CWACs were not recording on the site, beneficiaries undertaking the works on a daily basis. Instead, registers were generated after 10 days when they were about to send them to the local authority for payments. So that was the query, one of the queries that was raised by audit. And management response on that query was that management has since advised the WDCs and the CWACs responsible for the supervision of works to ensure that all beneficiaries are recorded on necessary forms. So the second query that was raised under audit for the period under review was the missing payment vouchers sector account, an audit review of payments for the sector grant account reviewed that 8 payment vouchers were not available for the audit. So management response to the audit that was, for the query that was raised, is that management has since assigned an accounts officer to be stationed in the expenditure office to manage the proper filing of accounts and documents. So management's response actually also on the same is that management acknowledged the internal audit findings on the 8 missing payment vouchers on the sector account and indicated that this was as a result of poor filing of the documents. So as per se, this wasn't really missing PV, but it was misfiling that was done by room 6. So we move on. Yes, sir.
We have for several times got queries, more especially 2 queries. One, transport, for us to be monitoring projects. 2, allowances, for us to be. But there you haven't seen. Maybe it's because we don't put it in written or it's just verbal, or it is not taken as an issue. Thank you.
First and foremost, the government votes before verbal is not really taken seriously, so it has to be in written. So whenever you are requesting for something, make sure that it is written. Okay. Maybe Madam Kombe, you can handle that.
Just a response. We're working directly with WDCs and we appreciate the work that they are doing. But like he has said, everything for us is embedded in the law or circulars that are sent by government. Every time we have budget meetings, we've been presenting the issue for WDCs, especially that they are the greatest stakeholder we have in terms of CDF applications. Kuri bema WDCs and applications. So the point yet not submit because every payment that we need to make should be supported by a guideline either in the constitution or a circular. So we are hoping going forward with 2026 and its implementation, a certain percentage is put aside for WDCs. The concerns that are raised are very genuine and we understand that, but we're waiting for further guidance. And when we're doing the budget presentations now at national level or provincial level, those are issues that we've presented, I think, on a yearly basis. So most times they tell us they are working within their jurisdiction, but we understand with the challenges that they have of transport. You can have one zone, but the villages are so apart. You find that the villages are 15 kilometers apart, but it's in the same zone. So too much to understand. I think my WDC is my initiatives and everything else. So maybe going forward with 2026 CDF, we are praying the committee can agree to maybe approving of projects, even if it's just bicycles for the zonal representatives to be helped.
Thank you so much, Madam Kondo. Anything else?
Mata kushika makora eh? Nimtumbuka but na double tu ambayo ya kizungu ni. But she's tumbuka lady. On tumbuka. Okay.
Proceed. So, query number 3 that was raised by our internal audit was delayed implementation of 2025 CDF projects. Internal audit carried out an audit review on the implementation of 2025 CDF projects and found out that as of 30th June 2025, 15 projects that had been approved, the implementation had not yet commenced. So management's response on the same was that management acknowledged the findings of the internal audit and stated that the delay was due to procedures that were being done under procurement. Management also mentioned that all the projects were at procurement stage. So management action and inquiry, management has analyzed the procurement processes for the 8 projects and the contracts have been signed. the contracts and yet to commence with the implementation. So the query number 4 was witnessed in the collection of dog registration revenue. The comparison of the records from the Veterinary Department and Public Health section for the period January 2025 to June 2025 pertaining to dog vaccination and registration revealed that the veterinary services vaccinated a total of 168 dogs, while records under public health indicated that 31 dogs were registered. The council charges registration fee at 30 kwacha per dog. The council lost revenue amounted to 4,110 as a result of 137 dogs not being registered. So management response to the query is that management acknowledged the findings of the internal audit and stated that it will engage the veterinary department to intensify on the sensitization of the dog vaccination and registration. So the action is that management has engaged the veterinary department so that collection of the dog registration revenue is enhanced. So we move on to Lundazi Town Council debt stock as at 30th June 2025. Is in Ngongole. It's a many tenures of a council. Which are many meaning at the time Ngongole. As at June 2025. So under personal emoluments, as at January 2025, it was sitting at 191,106. Debts accumulated during the period is nil. Payments made during period is nil. Balance as at June 2025 is 782, 1.1.09. Planned budgeted for the payment is the same 782, 121.29. Comment on the same is that the balance was paid in the subsequent month. Then we move on to NAPSA arrears. We had the opening balance of 4,974,335.09. Debts accumulated during the period was 423,347.42. Payments made during the period is nil. Balance as of June 2025 was 5,387,682.61. So planned or budgeted for the payment is 150,000. So the comment is that the council is faced with the challenge of narrow revenue base. So the reason why we have got such debts sitting on NAPSA is that as a council, our revenue base is now ndalama komiti fungu kuchosa wa council ni ngono kuchosa ndalama. So timakangiwa kulipira ubonzo betu wa NAPSA. So we move on to LASIF arrears. The opening balance was 933,527.63. Debts accumulated during period is nil. Payments made during period is 45,938.63. Balance as 30th June 2025 is 887,589. So the planned or budgeted for the period was nil. We move on to ZRA PE. The opening balance was 4,297,440.08. The debt accumulated for the period under review is 391, 312.22. Payments made under the period under review was nil. The balance as at June 2025 is 4,688,452.28. So the planned payments were planned to pay about 240,000. Goods and services. The opening balance was 151,000. 253.14. Debt accumulated for the period was nil. Payments made during the period was 35,000. Balance as of June 2025 was 151,253.14. The planned amount was 80,000. So the opening balance, the total balances as at January was 10,547,361.92. Then payments made 80,938.63. Balance as at June 2025 was sitting at 11,907,098.32. So this is the debt situation for Lundazi Town Council under the period review, January to June 2025. Any questions? Mafumbo, pari Kongole zameti wenga. Wakazi zameti wenga wazedai. Balasi fund napsa. Personal emoluments. Yes or no?
I think down is none. Down Kasunga, Kamakora, Guri from Beta, Makura. What you got to Kamakora. So, none of these are 35 personal movements where you have said 191. And then you say data committed, there's nothing there. But if you look at the balance as at June, it's 782. Maybe clarity a bit on that one.
Okay, I think here, thank you so much for that question, Honorable. Yes, I agree with you. There was supposed to be accumulated date for the period. Yeah. There was an amount that was supposed to be here so that it amounts to this. I think we need to edit it. I think that was the problem. Thank you so much.
So, put it plan only.
Yes, there's an amount on the data accumulated.
I mean, all this, Bongore, what plan do you have as local authority to make sure that it?
Okay. So, thank you so much. So, if you see the comments, this was on the plan of budget for the payment. This row clearly explains what the plan for the council was. So, like for personal emoluments, the plan was like for the comment for the personal emoluments, was the balance was to be paid in the subsequent month. So we had planned to pay that same amount for the period under review. So I need to check with our records if indeed that payment was done, because this was for the period January to June. So we have to verify on the amounts how much has been paid so far towards offsetting the personal emoluments. Yes. So for under LASIF, LASIF is being deducted at source. Yes. So you find that there's a certain amount that is being deducted from source. Yes. So that's the plan. Even NAPSA, now. NAPSA, because of the challenges that we are facing, the government, actually the ministry, went into MOU with NAPSA, and they have also started deducting from the source. So each and every month, there's a certain amount that is being deducted from the source for NAPSA. So that data we used to accumulate on a monthly basis to the being of the past.
I was getting worried because of the retirees that we have as Lundazi Town Council who are coming every day, crying every day. So looking at this, Mongolis, we don't know how we are going to plan for our people out there. Because every day we are meeting them. Abasome is about Tanya.
Yes. And Susie, surprised that you still remain the date.
Okay, it's called 1 million. So, the situation was that at gross, the grant that we receive as a council can be able to still pay.